Good morning, good morning. It is Friday the 16th of April. My name is Steve Pugh. It is 8:59. What I do, or what I at least try to do every week, is every Friday morning I have a business course, which is called the Roadmap MBA, which is all about teaching real-world business skills to people that generally work in SME companies, but they could also be freelancers, entrepreneurs, etc. And what we really try and do is teach the skills which people need to know to help develop their business or career. And the reason why I kind of focus on SMEs is it's the whole premise of, in a really large company like a Google, where you have 50,000 employees, big companies like that can actually ask people they have a different specialism. So you can have a specialist who is a 10 out of 10 out of marketing or sales or strategy or whichever. But often in smaller companies, which actually make up kind of 99% of the business population, you often get people that are very good at their jobs, but they're asked to perform multiple roles. So you get people that might be from a HR background that develop through, and then at some point they ask them to sell to customers and that kind of thing. And basically nobody teaches people how to actually get the whole range of skills to help develop their business or career in one place. And that's one of the things that I kind of really wanted to try and set up and do. And one of the things that I also try and do as well is that within the course you get 140 odd videos, you get a 200-page textbook, we have classroom sessions, we have all this really kind of good stuff. But then one of the things that I thought would just add a bit more value to it is that people like to ask me questions. So throughout the week, people might send me a WhatsApp or a LinkedIn or whichever, just to kind of bounce ideas off me. And then as part of the course, what I tend to do on a Friday is kind of draw them all out and just, walk it through with different people. And almost the ability to ask questions 24 hours a day from anywhere around the world is something that I think is hopefully quite unique for the course. But actually it also creates some hopefully quite good social media content as well. So if you haven't seen this before, this is my new studio, which is downstairs from where I was previously. And although a lot of people did actually enjoy watching the cars and the lorries go past, it did actually cause a lot of headaches for me through its sound and stuff anyway. And what this bigger space does, it just allows me to go into better quality on all my stuff. I've got some new cameras, I've got some new lighting, I've got some whole new setups. But the whole thing is genuinely built around you to help me give the best possible service I can to you to help you make your own kind of next steps and career. Morning, Simon, as always. I've jigged my setup, so I've got really nice big to see all the comments. So if you drop any comments through with YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, whatever, they should pop up on my screen. And again, if you want me to explain anything more or just ask your own question or even just kind of contribute your own knowledge, please feel free to do so. One thing that I would like to talk about this week actually, has anyone else really enjoyed the Costa Coffee free offer where it was 50p for almost any of their handmade drinks? So I had about 6. I'm on Team Valley in Gateshead and we've got one just around the corner. So I really kind of rinsed the offer, but it was really kind of good. But then likewise, this week we've also had lockdown hopefully lift for a lot of leisure and retail outlets as well, which I think in terms of the government's roadmap about to help us get back on track. Hopefully, I think the mood's lifted and businesses now almost feel more than ever the need and the desire to kind of get back on their feet and get going. So it's a really kind of exciting time for everyone. Within today's session, for the next kind of 30-40 minutes, I've got 6 or 7 questions which I'm going to go through, some of which I actually kind of draw out on the board and we talk it through. They all get clipped up to go onto YouTube. So if you search for Steve Pugh Roadmap MBA on YouTube, hopefully you'll find them. And then actually, what I'm doing is answering questions that people have actually asked throughout the week. So today I'm going to cover pay structures. It's something that people are always interested in because likewise, everyone wants to get paid, makes perfect sense. But actually, if you're in charge of actually running the company and paying for it all, the more you understand what is required from a company side, that will actually help you in your pay negotiations. And in the course and in previous videos, I've gone through about how to actually ask for a raise and do that, but hopefully that might be quite interesting. Another one is actually to stop putting things off. One of the classic things that a lot of entrepreneurs do is that they want to wait until their website's finished, until the next phase, the product's launched before they talk about it. And I don't think you should do that, and I'll hopefully try and explain why. Next is all about spreading the word. So again, if you are the entrepreneur behind your business or you're the salesperson behind your business, if you don't talk about it, nobody else is going to care. So why it's really important, although it is quite daunting, to set up, do your live streams, do your social media, do this. And I think it'll really pay off, or at least certainly in the long term. We've got an interesting one to do with achieving your career goals. So from the classroom session on Tuesday, one of the chaps actually, I ask people what is it that they want to achieve, with their business or career, and hence why we kind of tailor the course to do that. And one of the answers was actually to do with that they are in their mid-20s now, and the dream job is managing director. So as someone that has done that and been on that path, originally he had a 10 to 15 year time scale, and I was like, actually, I think we can do it in 7, and I'll explain why and the process to go through and why the roadmap can help. And then there's 2 others. One is actually to do price chips, and when you're being challenged by a customer, when to say no. I had this on Tuesday, the day I got my haircut, so that was an interesting one, which is for guys down in London. And then last but not least is something that happened to me this week, which is all to do with setbacks. So again, setbacks happen to everyone. They happen to me, they'll happen to you. And it's almost just being able to deal with it and acknowledge it and move on. So that's what we're going to kind of cover over the next kind of 30, 40 minutes. If it sounds interesting, please join us. Please comment. Morning, everyone. Morning from Dubai. Wow, I love Dubai. Whereabouts in Dubai are you based? I'd love to know. And likewise, you'll have to send me your details. But no, morning. Good morning. And yeah, so hopefully you join us for the next kind of 30, 40 minutes. And if you've got any questions, please feel free to get in touch. So over the next few weeks and months, hopefully this is new now. You might have seen this, the classroom sessions and stuff have gone on for a few weeks now. Really, really good. So every Tuesday, 3 till 4 p.m. In this room, but we do it on Zoom. We get a group of people together who are on the course, and actually we walk through the modules. But what's really interesting in 2 ways. One, it allows me to answer questions. So when people have said in the past, actually, I don't quite understand this, how does it work? It allows me to elaborate, but helps me improve the course. But actually what we're also starting to do is build a really good community of people who are starting to support one another, to actually kind of, we're in this together. Everyone, whether you work in your career or you have your own business, it's a journey that we're all on. And actually having good people who are on a similar journey to yourself, who are in a good place, they're well-intentioned, the ability to learn together and share together, I think, is really valuable. So the classroom sessions are going down really well. These are open to everyone. Basically, I'm currently in the first kind of iteration of launching the course. So anyone is free to join. The link for the Zoom group is on the front page of the website, or you'll also see us post it on the Roadmap MBA kind of social media. And yeah, please feel free to join. Although you might have the textbook in hand at the moment, when you bring it all up on the screen, I'll walk you through it. And it's there to, show you, and you can get involved and that kind of thing, and hopefully still take value even if you haven't paid for it. And that is part of my, getting people on the platform and using it and learning it. So there's still a kind of a good win-win there too. The interviews are also going to start up. So some of you might have seen in the past, I tend to interview business leaders and interesting people. I had a bit of a break because I was trying to set this up. I had a lot going on, spinning a lot of different plates. But actually they're going to start again on Monday with a chap called Tim Ward, which I will do the social media and promotion later today to do with that. And then over the next kind of few months, hopefully once a week, I'm going to try and do Mondays 4 p.m. It's all about the other person. It's all about their journey, how they got to where they are, sharing their best practice, sharing the lessons that they've kind of learnt and stuff. But it was just a heads up that they're going to start again soon. Please kind of tune in and you can ask questions. And again, it's part of kind of sharing the story of people in the course. And then just finally, before I go into the kind of Q&A kind of questions, with an organization called NEPIC, which is the Northeast Process Innovation Cluster. It sounds a lot. It's a lot of our onshore petrochem and chemicals and pharmaceutical sector within the northeast of England. I'm actually doing a strategy masterclass with them on the 27th of May, which I think this is closed to NEPIC members and people who are on the Supply Chain Northeast program. But what I'm going to do is within the space of an hour, we're going to go through all of the big hitting topics to really help grow or turn around your business quickly. There'll be a lot of kind of takeaways, and then actually I might give away some free courses as well to anyone that joins on that. All of the registration details are on the social media, and I'll pop them in the links below. Cool. I'd love to know where in Dubai you're from as well. I love Dubai. It's one of my favorite places. Okay, so I'm going to start with the first question, which is all to pay structures. So in your career, one of the main things that people want is to get paid. It makes perfect sense. And then again, when you kind of go through your career, some careers have, especially in bigger organizations, have formal pay hierarchies. So they have grades, so that you might join at the bottom. So when I used to work for local government, which is part of the public sector in the UK, they had very distinct bands and grades that you join here, and then if you stay for 2 years, you bump up to there, and it works all the way through. It's very transparent, and almost you know where you stand. With smaller organizations, and especially a lot of independents, it is often different, because what you essentially have is that you probably don't have a pay structure, but also there's a lot of volatility in terms of how a business is performing, in terms of what can the entrepreneur actually pay you, if that makes sense. So what I'm going to cover, I'm going to grab the red pen and the black pen, is hopefully try and draw out why it's important for a business to structure their pay structures and reward structures in the right way. But then also, sorry, someone's cutting the grass outside. I never have any luck with these things, but anyway, I do my best. And it's why it's important to structure things a certain way. But then likewise, the more you understand about how and why things work, the better your negotiation angle is to actually get the pay rise. So I'm going to draw it out. So that's revenue, or just basically money, and that's just time. So if you're a business owner, your job is to sell stuff, and you might aim for a revenue of £1 million, which is there. But in order to achieve the £1 million, and actually I'm going to make this easy on myself, I'm going to do a service-based business. So actually it's about people and time, not commodities. But anyway, you have a certain revenue figure that you hit as a business. Underneath that, you have overheads. As a business, what you always have to worry about is making sure that you don't, over time, let your overheads creep up to a point where, for one, you make less profit. That's not good. But actually, you never know what's going to happen next. So a prime example is overheads over time. People ask for pay rises. It can do that. The issue you then have is that the delta between those two is low. And actually what you've then got as a business is that business owners run businesses to make money. They make profit. That's the whole point. But they also have to worry about risk. If people ask for pay rises and it goes unchecked, what essentially happens is, if revenue isn't changing, you're just squeezing the top. But this causes some major headaches. For one, you're going to make less money as a business, which is really important. But the other thing which people often have to consider as well, unless you can also get the revenue to also go up. So the idea would be, if you say, look, I hope I'm really valued by the organization. I've got this great idea to help boost the business, bring in new sales. Can we have a chat and can I launch this in a new initiative? What you're then looking to do is say to the business owner, look, I want to launch this new thing and I think it's going to help the business. And then what you should then do is, when you're looking at your pay structures, for one, for the business point of view, and I'm not risk averse, but I'm quite realistic. The one thing that is always at the back of my mind with all the businesses that I'm involved with is that if you give fixed salary increases to pay rises, I've been in a lot of industries, construction, oil and gas, renewables, etc., where basically it can drop off a cliff. And the worry is, if you have a bad month, if you ever get to that point where your revenue drops off and your overheads are higher than the money that's coming in, you're going to go bust. If you go bust, everyone loses their jobs, the company goes under, your suppliers go under, and actually everything that you've arguably worked for 10 years, 20 years is gone. So simply asking for a pay rise isn't great without looking to see about how can you add more value to the business and actually demonstrating that as well. And actually I've been doing a negotiating course with the FBI. I've been doing my homework on this. And again, they have lots of different techniques that they use when they work with people. But you really want to make sure that you are seen as wanting to help the business, add more value, etc., and then get rewarded accordingly. And the one thing that I'm always conscious of is that, for me, you never know if a business is going to go up or down, because a lot of people, they might have good months, they have bad months, and you never actually know where it's going to go. I'm also very hot, and actually I like to reward people, especially if they do have good performance, because, I've been there, that kind of thing. And again, the worry is, if you look solely at salary, the issue is, and I call it the axe above your head, if that axe keeps getting bigger and bigger and bigger, and you don't know what's going to happen to revenue, at some point it's just more likely to kill you. So for me, one of the things when you're looking at pay structures is actually to look at non-guaranteed, almost bonus structures. So where if you get a base salary, and if the company does well, or if you hit your sales targets, or whichever kind of structure you come up with, you might get your base salary, but then actually you get a bonus of a percentage of the benefit of how the company fits. And what you've then done is set up these structures to help reward employees accordingly, to do with the hard work they're putting in, that kind of thing. You're actually giving them the chance to pay them the same amount, if not more, to with a bonus scheme. But actually, from a company point of view, you haven't increased your risk, and you haven't increased what I call the axe above your head through increasing fixed overhead for no other benefit. Does that make sense? So therefore, when you go into your next pay negotiation, always be looking for and ask the question, and we cover it in the course, how can I add more value? What can I do to help the business achieve its goals, etc. And then what you're saying to the entrepreneur or the business owner is, look, I want to help, I want to do more. Let me demonstrate what I can do. Let me bring in the value. And then you would ask for a bonus based on what you've brought in, if that makes sense. Thank you, Simon. I'm just looking since I know downtown Dubai. I'm a big fan. I've worked in Sharjah, I've worked in Abu Dhabi. So cool. I'm delighted to have you here. And Simon, again, thank you for the input. So again, on pay structures, it's the conscious awareness that you don't want to increase your fixed overhead unless you have to. But actually, again, if you're in a position where you're looking for a pay rise, always look at what's the value you can bring and demonstrate it, so there's a win-win there. Cool. Well, I'm going to move on from that one, but hopefully that was quite useful. I love that we've got people from Dubai. It's brilliant. Every week when I do these, it's to try and just get a little bit more progress and actually kind of just get a little bit better. And actually, one of the things that I always joke about is that when I first started to do live streams, nobody commented. Well, Simon did. And then you get one, and then you get two, and then hopefully in a year's time, I might have 10 people comment. But the idea is it's how you identify the lead action, you identify the things which will help your business or career grow. And again, we'll touch on some kind of this morning, and just keep doing them. And the prime example is that I'm still a little bit overweight from COVID. So I know that my lead action to get my fitness back is also running. So I don't judge myself on how fast I run, etc. It's just if I actually go. So with tomorrow being Saturday, I'm determined to go out for a run. And it's that kind of thing. If I know that that will get me to where I want to be, and just over time, kind of keep working on it. Hi, Danica. Good morning. See, I love this. It's like a little party on LinkedIn. But anyway, well, it's great to have you. Okay, next, I'm going to jump onto stop putting things off. I don't have to draw for this one, but it is something that I've spotted a lot when I work with a lot of different people. And again, just on the course, and everyone's at their own kind of journey, is that one of the classic worries, and I'm not immune to this as well, is that everyone generally is a bit of a perfectionist. We all want our things to be perfect before we show it to the world. And in lots of different books, like this one called The Lean Startup, what they talk about is how you actually want to get your product or service out to market as quick as you can, get people to use it, learn from it, improve it, etc. And I've been there. It's part of the reason why I'm doing this now. This is part of my learning curve. And actually, there's a really great organization which called the Marketing Meetups. If you Google that, there's a guy called Joe Glover that runs it. But they do really interesting talks every Tuesday with generally about marketing. But there was a guy who was involved with Fiverr, and Fiverr is a online marketing platform where you can kind of hire freelancers. But actually within the platform, what it does, and it's now valued at over $1 billion, but even they still do the A/B testing and marketing testing and stuff. And the point is, it doesn't matter how big your company gets. It's really important to keep going, keep learning, and almost not put things off. And one of the things that I've kind of seen, and I think it's especially true, when you're first starting out, everyone wants that their website to be perfect, their flyers to be perfect, their branding, etc., before they start to tell anyone about it. And I was kind of the same. I wasn't planning to move and start to do streams from this office until I had it all perfect, because I wanted the jump between where I was to where I wanted to be. I wanted it to be as big as possible to have a really good impact. And I'm kind of glad I didn't, because one thing that I never had yet with the office is actually I'd ordered these really posh lights, and they're called soft boxes, and it's the light that goes behind it. And actually, hi, good morning, Gary. Hi, good morning, Roberto. And the point is, I wanted this to be perfect, so I spent a fortune on soundproofing, lighting, and cameras, and screens, and everything. And my plan was originally to wait, and I decided, no, I'm going to go for it and just launch it, and then just see kind of what happens. And I actually ordered these lights back in February, and they said, look, sorry, they're not going to arrive until April. And I wasn't happy, but I thought, okay, I'll wait. They were meant to come this week. I emailed the company, and they said, actually, there's been a delay at production. They might now not come until July. And if I'd waited to kind of launch all this until these lights turned up, it'd be July. But actually, we don't know if 3 are going to come in July. It could be September. So I've since asked for a refund on that one. But the point is, it's so much better to just get started. Be honest about your journey, what you're at. Nobody and nothing is ever going to be perfect. But actually, it's better to just do it. So I'm going to politely encourage back some of the people, the first person and people that were on the course. I'd love to get more Q&A and actually live guests on these live streams to talk through their businesses, what they're doing, but actually give them a chance to help promote what they're kind of doing. But there's always a desire to put it off until things are more ready, and I don't believe you should do that. But no, I'm delighted with all the comments. Good morning, everyone. So it's not easy, especially when you launch your own thing. And again, I think one of the things that people put off is that it's the fear of criticism. It's the fear of what are people going to say and do, because, it's scary when you put yourself out there and you're worried about what people are going to, you're always kind of going to get some haters. But it just takes confidence to do that. And again, if you've got a really good network, people are going to support you. I will always champion people that are trying to make that next step. Shout out to Stuart Coupland, who makes really brilliant bespoke kind of leather products. He was a guest on my podcast about 6 months ago, and he, as of this week, has moved from his part of his house, which was his workshop, to a proper his own space. And as someone that has genuinely just done this, it's a really great moment. But I just want to celebrate all these these steps that everyone's kind of going through. Good morning, Danica. I will always call you out and everyone else who joins on the stream. Again, it's part of just trying to build a community. And again, Danica, brilliant copywriter, get in touch. And Danica, do a plug in the comments if you wish. I won't kill you for that. Related to this, almost what I've just said, is that business and your career is a big, scary kind of world. Nobody's going to help you. It's when, well, I will, but most people won't. And actually, you often find yourself having to, forge your own journey, do your own studying, do your own promotion, and actually create stuff from scratch. But once you kind of understand that and take ownership of that, it's almost quite empowering in many ways, because it gives you the freedom and the confidence to really crack and forge on. But again, one of the big things that most people actually dislike the most about their business or career is sales and promotion. And it's a really difficult thing, because actually, if you don't talk about your product or service and you're not enthusiastic and knowledgeable and put yourself out there, nobody else is going to care. And the one thing that kind of got me is that we often always worry too much about what other people think. And that is true when, everyone in their own career, you're always the star of your own show. You're the main character in your film kind of thing. But we always often worry about what do other people think in our network. Will they think it's good or bad or whichever? But the one thing that almost got me, because I've been made redundant twice in my career, and it's a horrible feeling where you feel a bit helpless, you're not sure what to do, etc. Is that at least if you ever do your own thing, which I'm trying to do now, you've got a kind of ownership on it. But actually, one of the big things that people worry about is the ability to pay your bills, your mortgage, etc. But the other harsh fact, which is why I think you should never be ashamed to really kind of put yourself out there and champion it, is that all these other people, all these haters, all these people that actually, you're worried about what they think. If you can't pay your mortgage or buy your kids Christmas presents or pay your bills, they don't care. They will crack on. They're just interested in their own lives. It might be a bit of gossip for 2-3 minutes down the pub one day, but actually nobody else cares, if you're being brutally honest, apart from your good friends, about how you're doing in business or your career, because people are selfish and that's their own kind of main interest. So because of that, I'm just laughing at Danica. Perfect. plug it, go nuts, because again, you never know who's going to see what what you're putting out there and that kind of thing. But if you don't, nobody else will. And one of the big things that drives me, and we talk about it in the book, is that it's really interesting to have positive motivations. So that might be you want a nice house, a nice car, nice holidays, etc. Or it could be you want the lifestyle and to create things and to live the kind of life you want. So they're all basically what Tony Robbins calls moving forward actions. They're positive things that people want and you want, and it helps drive you. In the first module, we actually cover something called emotional anchors, which are emotions, both good and bad, which are so strong that give you the drive and the motivation to help move forward. And one of the ones for me, which is actually, as Tony Robbins would call it, a moving away value, so it's actually a negative thing, is the fear of failure. And I know that the fear of failure drives a lot of people. And actually the thought that, my business fails and the roadmap fails and it's a complete disaster and it costs me a ton of money, etc. The desire that I don't want that to happen is a massive motivating factor for me to get up every Friday and do my live streams and do my social media and do my sales calls and do my client work. Because yes, I want the good stuff at the end of it, but actually I don't want to fail. And I think when you kind of grasp that mindset, I just think it's really useful that, I try and be quite open about my journey because, I'm doing this as well. I'm a normal person kind of thing. But it's just do your best. And then if you ever want to get in touch or pick my brains or again, use the course to learn the skills to help you do that next level as well and also do it better, you're always kind of welcome to get in touch. Hi, Gary. Honestly, keep the plugs going. What's quite funny, and this is true, is that throughout my career, and I'm going to talk about a really good career goal in a second, is that people can't buy your stuff or hire you if they don't know who you are. One of the big things that, especially when we're starting to build a community about what we're trying to do here, if people get value from the course and they like what I'm doing and obviously we're friends and I'm related to you in some kind of way, it's more likely, it's like an informal recommendation. They're more likely to hire you because we've got a relationship than if they never knew you existed or we didn't have this link. So within the community, I want people to plug their own stuff and talk about it. Obviously don't go over the top, but you get my point, is that actually I want to build a really good network of people. They're all here to help each other out. And actually, if you ever need a particular skill and you don't have it, it's the classic thing that a lot of entrepreneurs talk about, is that you want to hire your skill set that you don't have. So I'm quite good at sales and marketing and strategy and that kind of thing. I'm not the best at financial accounting. I can do it, but actually, when you know what your weak points are, that's where you want to kind of plug those gaps. And then likewise, some people are great technically, but they don't know how to write words and write copy and actually attract people in. Hire someone like Danica to do that. And that's again why it's really interesting that within a network, it's almost, find good people and then start to kind of, if you need them, use them. If you don't, fine. But again, it's still really worth kind of putting yourself out there. Cheers, Roberto. Okay, next one, I'm going to switch to blue because it's my favorite one. So one of the questions in the classroom sessions which came up on Tuesday was, I like to ask everyone at the start of the session, who are they, where are they from, and actually what do they want to both achieve from the course, but actually what do they want to achieve from their business or career as well. It's a really important thing to have a goal, because actually what you often get, and this is true with a lot of different businesses, is that you can think, I want to build a big business, and it's just a generic ask or idea that you've got. But unless you actually have defined goals and steps, for one, you never actually know if you arrive or you achieve it or not. But actually you can go all over the place. The better the roadmap you have in terms of where you start and where you want to get to, the more likely and the faster you can achieve it. So what I'm going to do is talk about careers in this instance, because it's not all just about business, and then actually link it to someone who wants to go from a mid-level salesperson to managing director, and I'm going to show you how to do it. And I can show you how to do it because I've done it, and I was lucky enough I became managing director of an international company in Durham that sold to 33 different countries. It was a 44-year-old, well-established business. I became managing director at 33, and this was off the back of being made redundant from being group business development manager for an oil and gas company. But the point is, if I can do it, you can do it. And actually, I never had a roadmap to guide me how to do it. I had to create it. But I'm going to talk it through, and then if you've got any questions, please drop them in the chat. No, Simon, my cup isn't on a conveyor belt, but it's on the table, which is part of the pan. But the camera is on a conveyor belt, if that makes sense. It's called a moving slider, and it was one of my toys that you see on big TV shows and stuff where the camera moves. It gives you a bit more perspective. But then likewise, the reason I do that is because for me, quality is really important to my brand. I want people to know that if they work with me or they join a course or join a live stream, that I'm someone that doesn't half-ass things. I put my heart and soul into things, and I do them to my best of my ability and my quality. And that comes down to image quality, screens, teaching materials, etc. And although it's completely extravagant, the idea of having a moving slider for a live stream, I've never seen anyone do before, including on YouTube, some of the really, really big guys. It was something I wanted to try, and hopefully it works. But no, the cup is stationary. It's the camera that moves. It's a good point there, good spot. Okay, so careers. So the question is, how do you go from mid-level position? It actually doesn't matter what it is. I'm going to start there. I'm going to pick sales just because that's the chap that we spoke to. And you want to get to so in your career, wherever you're at, I must admit, if you're first starting out and you're 18 or you're 19 and you're really trying to find your feet, maybe wait a few years till you've got a bit more skill set, but the skills and the importance of the idea is still there. So we have a person on the course who's mid-level salesperson. When I asked them actually what's the dream and the goal, they said, well, actually, I'd love to be MD CEO. And they said, oh yeah, I'd love to do it in like 10 to 15 years. And actually my point was, I disagreed. I said, look, I think you can do it in 7. So I went, no, you don't want to do that. So 7 years to go from mid-level to the MD of running the company. And although that sounds massive, and again, so yeah, if you're 25, to do it by 32, 33, I think is eminently achievable. I did it. And what I'm going to do is show you how to do it. So for instance, when you start your job and you get paid to do stuff, you get paid to generally perform a skill. So it could be HR, it could be anything. For a lot of people in a lot of organizations, they get paid based on their ability to perform that one skill. And one of the things that's really interesting to both get the mindset right about what you're doing, but really understand the game of all of this, is that actually I asked the question, so what skills, if you were to go for a managing director's job today, what skills do they look for? What do you see in the job spec for the MD's role that you want? And basically what they talked about was good with people, so management, strategy, sales, and actually market knowledge. And actually the other one is network. So what we did, and this was again part of Tuesday's kind of classroom session, is that actually when we switched, we said, well actually, okay, so you're here, you want to be here. Now that we've kind of set the goal, we've set the target, and we've actually also started to break down what are the skill sets that you think that person needs to actually reach that level. And then one of the things that was interesting is that the course is all about lead action. So it's identifying the ways to both learn the skills and the things which will help you achieve your goal. So for instance, if this person is a salesperson and they're good at sales, if they put time and effort into their sales skills, and what I mean by this is that on the course we talk about lead action, so that if you know that your target is £1 million a year or £100,000, and to work that out based on the cost of each transaction, that might take you, 100 contracts, that is therefore 200 phone calls, etc. But the point is you break it down to lead actions. if you then know that you have to make 8 phone calls a day to hit your target, and that's what your lead action kind of tells you need to do, you also know that actually if you do 12, you're actually going to exceed your budget. But the point is, if you get really good at the skills, which we teach on the course, it will both help them get promoted. I think there's mid-level, so that would be so either sales director or sales manager or commercial director. But the point is, if you can bring huge value through the skills that we teach on the course, and again, part of the things that we cover is that one of the mistakes that a lot of companies make, and this is what I'm going to talk about on the NEPIC kind of live stream, is that they have a product or a service and they think that actually if I just make more phone calls and make better chat upline approaches and just do more of the same, it will help me achieve my goal. And that could be true, and for a lot of people that is true, but the big thing you really want to get, really understand is actually to do with the business strategy. So what is it that fundamentally makes your product or service better than anyone else? So with the Roadmap MBA, it's all to do with the interactivity, it's the live streams, it's the quality of the materials, it's the price, it's the whole kind of thing. If I had the same, or I produced the same level of course as everyone else, and I didn't do live streams, and I didn't give the chance to ask questions and stuff, yes, I can make more phone calls, but I don't have a fundamental competitive advantage. The point is to help this person both improve their skill and sell more. What we're also doing on the course is teaching them how to understand the customer, the market demographics, actually what can you offer within your remit to help you achieve that next goal. And the point is, we actually teach the skills to help you do this, which allow you to add more value, which will help you get that promotion. And then the other thing that we then talked about, so that almost covers the sales and the strategy side. Market knowledge will come naturally, but again, I actually wouldn't hold yourself back on this. One of the big things which is an MD or a CEO's job is very rarely to actually do the work within the company. Their job is often to help get the best out of other people who know how to do whatever it is that their kind of job task is. When I became MD of the company in Durham, they had a machine shop, they had a business which was all to do with lubrication and greasing systems, they had lots of different parts of the business. And I wasn't an expert in any of them, but I knew I could learn it. But what I knew I could do was listen to and empower the people in the positions that actually did the work to help them do their job better and also remove roadblocks to help them do business better, become more efficient and stuff. So market knowledge is important and it will help you make a better strategy, but don't let it hold you back from actually applying for the jobs. In terms of people and management, we kind of cover that in the course. And again, same thing as what I was just saying, it's all actually about helping to get more out of the team you've got, help get out of the way, make sure that, work with them to understand how you can add more value and how we can develop the team and get their ideas. And again, there's 216 pages on how we do this. And then likewise, one of the important ones is, again, I kind of mentioned it before, is all to do with your network. So people can't buy your product or service if they don't know who you are. But then likewise, people can't hire you for your career if they don't know who you are. So within the course, it's module 2, which we're going to do on the next 2 classroom sessions, Tuesday this week and next week. But again, obviously anyone can join, is actually to do with your personal brand. And this is everything to do with who you are, how you speak, how you communicate, your appearance, what is your digital presence. And again, I've done this in kind of different videos, but actually the ability to build a good, solid personal brand, have more people raise awareness on who you are, the skill sets that you have, etc. One of the things that I always talk about is that even if this all fails and it's a complete disaster and, I'm quite embarrassed by it, the hope is that through actually putting the hard work in and putting myself out there, that someone else says, I quite like him on my team. And the same is true for yourself, that it's people do business with people. I hate that cliche. But it's the whole point of a lot of business owners, and you will never know this, will be looking around. A lot of people are looking for succession. So they want to bring someone in to train them up. So actually, a lot of you that have the skills to do your job, you're probably somewhere between these two. If you have a business owner that is probably 50 plus, a lot of them will start to be looking at succession planning. So one of the things that is really important to do, and if you can, is raise your personal brand, demonstrate that you're good and knowledgeable on different topics. For me, it's sales, marketing, strategy, so that if there is a gap in a business where they're looking to exit or sell or grow or whatever, there is often opportunities which are never advertised here to bring someone in so that they can then get trained up over the next kind of 2 to 3 years, so that when the business owner does want to drop to 1 day a week or retire or etc., they know you've got the skills that are the perfect fit for the business. They can train you up to give you the market knowledge and give them comfort that they trust you to take over their company. But they will only do that if they know who you are and they understand from your personal brand. Even if they don't understand what personal branding is, if they perceive you for being good at certain topics, they're a lot more likely to hire you. And that's how this works. So my point was to the guy in the course, and I know it's 9:40 and I've been talking for a while, you can genuinely help boost your career. And you could be a solicitor, you could be a copywriter, you could be a graphic designer, to go from wherever you are to the top job, to actually demonstrating. For one, you need the skills, you need to be able to learn the skills, demonstrate them, and show the world. Because then likewise, even if your employer doesn't see your value, somebody else might. And that's why it's really important to do. Cool. Hi Simon, I'm glad you like the slider. It is that balance of when I was a student and I was doing my PhD, I've been working overseas. I came back to do it's called a studentship in the UK, but it's basically a scholarship. And it was £13,000 a year, which isn't terrible, but it's not the best. And I actually started my first photography company to help pay the bills and help me pay my rent. And I've always loved tech and I've always loved stuff. But one of the things I noticed at the time was that you can take a very technically brilliant photo where you have blurred foreground, background, it's a great capture, the balance is good, the structure is good, and most people will never notice. And it's the kind of thing that the same was true when I was trying to set this up. I knew that 1 in 20 people might actually notice the slider, but the point is, it's important to me and I want to do the best job I can because I take great pride in this. But again, people are really into their tech. Hopefully, more people might follow, but it's the kind of thing. And I appreciate the comment about the roadmap as well. It is the kind of thing that I chose the name for a reason, but actually having been someone that's done it, this isn't just all theory. I practice this every day. Before I started the live stream, I was on call with a client. After I finish off this, I'll be back on client work. I am someone that is, I get paid to do this every day, actually, as a management consultant or as a director in different kind of businesses. But I do because I enjoy it. And it's great to kind of get some feedback and stuff as well. Cool. All right, I'm going to move on next to number 6. So this is, if you have a business, a product or a service, how do you actually stop people from doing price chips? So a price chip is basically when you have, you want to buy a table, and basically you sell your tables for, table's a bad example actually, £100, and the client's like, nope, I'll only pay 60. This happened with a client who's on the course, that they have a customer that they're really happy with. And actually, when it came to a renewal, the renewal price was 40 grand. And the customer's like, no, I'm only going to pay 30. And the question was, which was sent in on Tuesday, how do you handle it where you don't want to lose the customer, but actually you don't want to piss them off. You don't really want to lose the business, but you don't want to reduce the price either. And when a customer starts to play hardball in terms of what they will or won't do, and if they'll go somewhere else, etc., how do you handle that? And again, this is to do with price chips. It was really interesting because this is relevant to absolutely everyone. The trick, and I will actually do this in kind of stages, is to really understand where they're at. So it's to listen to the customer. So the reason what we're trying to do here is that it depends on yourself, what your profit margin is, because although you might charge someone 40 grand, it might only cost you 10, so actually still making a good chunk of profit, even if you're selling it at 30. But my point is, it's to really listen, because what you could be doing is that customer might be on the verge of going bust. They might be really struggling to pay their bills and keep trading. But actually, if you can understand that, the goodwill through you dropping your price or changing your payment terms or whichever could actually help develop a long-term relationship which lasts the next 50 years. And you really kind of keep that going. But the trick is to actually listen and, find out from them, what is it you're struggling with? How can we help? And really we cover sales qualifying questions in the book. But actually, it could be that they probably could afford the 40 grand, but not in one payment. So actually, how about if you split the payments? And it's really listening to kind of find out where they're at. If it turns out that they are just trying to push you on price, but they want to keep the same service, one of the things that's then really important too is actually ask them, what is the value that they get from your service? So if you do sales lead generation and they say, okay, yeah, well, actually we use you and we pay you the 40 grand because actually you help generate 200 grand's worth of business, then through asking the question, you would say, well, is there a reason why you don't want to have another 200 grand's worth of business? And what you're trying to do is that when you've understood and you've had them to actually articulate the value that they believe that you bring to them, what you're then doing, it's giving you the justification to hold on your price and that kind of thing. What's also really important is really just listening to them to then, get a feel for where they're at. And once they understand, I guess it's empathy. So what you're doing is asking them if they want you to deliver the same 200 grand's worth of value or number of meetings or whichever for less money. This actually comes from the FBI negotiating course that I've been doing as well, is actually to ask them, because people don't like challenge, is to say, well, how can I do that? How do you expect me to be able to deliver more when you're not paying me or delivering me the resource to do that? And what you're then doing is that you're both seeing yourself and helping yourself come across as being a normal person, but through not just saying no and storming out, you're actually asking for their advice and help. Look, how can I do this? They'll probably know, actually, yeah, you can't. Or that you'll think of a way that maybe if they can only afford 30, maybe you just offer to deliver a lower service or reduce scope or whichever for the same price. Never offer the same thing for the same price, because what I'll then do, that sets the new benchmark that they'll expect the 40 grand service for 30 grand and actually just making yourself, your own life more difficult. So never offer them exactly the same when you kind of do that. And then the other thing as well is that when you actually understand that someone is going to challenge you on price, they're actually just doing their job, and they're doing their job well. Because if you have a team and you have, or even in your own job, one of the things that you should always be doing is actually challenging your suppliers to say, can we have better payment terms? Can we reduce the price? Can we do X? Can we do Y? And actually that just demonstrates them as actually being good at their job. But when you actually understand that it is just part of their job, it's not a personal dig at you, etc. And actually through them even asking, they're doing their job well. As a business practitioner, someone that's probably on the roadmap and you appreciate the craft, I actually wouldn't hold it against them. And then last but not least is that if they keep pushing you and they keep pushing you, never actually be afraid to actually say no. That if you're not happy with the price and you're not happy with what they want or the relationship's gone sour, etc., never be afraid to actually say, look, I don't think we can make this work. If you change your mind and you can afford the 40 grand, etc., please kind of come back to me. We'd love to kind of work with you. But based on these terms, we can't do something. Never be afraid to say no, because it's a show of strength. It shows trust and commitment in who you are and where you are as a business. It's often only possible to do that when you have multiple other customers, so that if you were to lose this one, will you still survive? If you wouldn't, I'd probably just take the work. But likewise, this is why it's really important to build your spread of risk and customers, so that you can actually have more say and control to actually say, look, I'm going to turn down the work, but thank you, etc. But it's actually being happy and willing to say no. And what that then does, because you also have to worry about something called opportunity cost, because you never want to get stuck into what are classed as bad business. So it's business where the margin's rubbish, you're having to do a lot of work and it's not really worth your time. Through bad contracts that would tie you into that kind of thing, it's often better just not to be in them, because what it means is that then you can't sell your service or product or whichever to anyone else at the rate that you feel you should get. And actually, you can actually get trapped as a business to do that. That it's always good to have enough confidence and clients and stuff that you're able to say no, but actually it shows respect to turn it down. For me personally, I'm also quite lucky at the point where I've been doing this for a while now, that if I was to take on more and more client work, it means I have less time to do this, to do the roadmaps, to do the classrooms, to do the live streams, etc. Which actually, this is my end goal. So I'm now at the point where I might turn down work, even if it's well paid, because it takes me away from my end goal, my roadmap, to help me achieve what I want. And that's, again, covering the previous point. The more you understand about what it is that you're trying to do, how, and actually trying to achieve it, you never want to lose sight of that just to earn a few extra pounds as and when. Cool. Well, I must admit, last but not least, I thought I'd finished. I've been talking for 50 more minutes now, so I'm just going to grab a quick drink. Is just to reiterate the point about setbacks. We all have them, and that setback itself could be, you could get fired, you could get made redundant. I've been there on both. Your business might struggle, supplier might let you down, staff might let you down, staff might leave. There are hundreds, your insurance might not renew, which means that you can't trade. There are hundreds and hundreds of things that actually could and will put you back and set you back, and it's, as an entrepreneur, and I know people say this all the time, it's that balance of having the resilience to, it's okay to be upset, it's okay not to like it, but actually don't let it affect you enough that it stops you doing what you want to do. One of the things that I found in previous weeks is that, globally, you have university accredited business education courses, traditional MBAs that cost you £40,000 to £200,000 from people like Harvard or wherever. And quite a long time ago, before I kind of jumped in and started just doing entrepreneurship myself, that was a really big option, and I was attracted by that. There's been a massive shift to, there's been a massive drop in university MBA applications, because people now are pretty savvy that the certificate on itself doesn't necessarily give you that much prestige anymore. What people really want is the skills to learn for how to grow their business or career. And what's quite interesting is that you have a whole range of what are classed as alternative MBAs, alt MBAs, that now offer that. So I have one, which is the Roadmap MBA. There's one called the Power MBA, which is all to do with inspiration. You have the Seth Godin one, the alt MBA. You have the mini MBA marketing, a guy called Mark Ritson. And actually, I'm working with a branding company at the moment, and what got me was, and it made me second guess myself and doubt myself, was that it was when people saying, well, Steve, but what gives you the right to do this? Why should anyone care about your course? What accreditation do you have? Obviously, I've got the CPD certification, which I'm very kind of proud of. And actually, that's, if not more than a lot of other people. But what it did do, I had a wobble for about a week and a half where I thought, well, actually, what do I call a course? Because, how do I fit in the market? And it took a conversation with some friends yesterday where we talked it through, was to really understand that with every business product or service, you have your standard deviation curve. And actually, I drew this out last week. And you're going to have people that love what you do and they really appreciate the effort and stuff. You're going to have the mass market in the middle that probably like it, but they might not know about it yet, etc. And you're always going to have people at the other end of the bell curve. It doesn't matter what you do, that don't like you, they don't like your service, they don't like your product. That's fine. It's almost having the confidence to say, look, you don't like what I do and you don't like how I articulate it, but that's okay. Just use someone else's course or do whatever you want. but it will and often can cause a bit of a crisis of confidence where you second guess yourself. And I must admit, I had that in the last few weeks where I was like, well, do I call it the Roadmap Alternative MBA? Is it an Alt MBA? Is it, how do you do it? And how, as long as you're clear, honest, open and transparent about what the course is, how it works, what's involved, what you get and what you don't get. And, there are lots of other people doing this around the world. I knew I was on the right track. I knew I always was, but I did have a setback where I was starting to second guess myself. If it happens to me, and I rarely kind of know what I'm doing, it might happen to you as well. So what I wanted to do was almost take a deep breath, take these things on when people let you down, or suppliers let you down, or clients pull out, or things take longer, etc. There is a good, solid, friendly network out there who are there to help. I'm here to help you get through this. And again, if you have a long-term viewpoint, so I'm trying to build this over the next kind of 10 years. I'm just going to do my best every week. You're going to see me turn up. And I will keep trying to improve, etc., offer a better kind of service. And then if it resonates with some people, great. If it doesn't, that's fine as well. And you should do the same. We're all kind of human. We're all in this together. And it was just something that I wanted to talk about because it was relevant to me a few times this week. Cool. So it is 9:55. I genuinely appreciate everyone's time. Simon, as always, with the comments and that kind of thing. If you have any questions as well, I have questions at roadmapmba.com, which anyone can send any questions to, and I'll answer them kind of next week. You can join our classroom sessions. So Tuesday, 3 till 4, I go live in this room about 10 minutes before. So anyone can join, even if you're not in the course, you can join and kind of get involved and just see what it's all about. I've got my NEPIC masterclass, which isn't open, but if you're part of a NEPIC member or part of Supply Chain Northeast, 27th of May. And what I'll ask if I can record it and share it. I'm not sure if they'll let me, but it's going to be a really good session there's only so much you can do in an hour, but to really give people real value, to help them think through different things, to then help them kind of take some next steps. And yeah, last plug for the interviews, which are going to start again on Monday. What I always do is try and speak to interesting people that I think can help your business or career. Yes, I do let them talk about their own stuff, but only because we're all in this together. And if I said at the start of the session, if people don't let you talk about your stuff, do it anyway. But then likewise, whenever any opportunity ever does come up to promote your thing, take it. And that's the game. This is, the big kind of game we're in. I genuinely appreciate everyone's time. Thank you for joining in with the stream. I know that most people kind of dip in and out, which again is perfectly fine. But yeah, cool. So my name's Steve. I will catch you next week or Tuesday, or send me a message on social media, or whatever kind of works for you. And have a wonderful rest of your Friday. Have a wonderful weekend. If you're in the UK, enjoy going shopping and having a drink, etc. And yeah, hopefully I will see you next week. All right, cheers. Have a great day. Cheers. Bye-bye.